welcome back to another episode of Vino y la Verdad, hosted by ladies of Wine and Wisdom 2 today.
Hey. Mira, pero nosotras contamos por 5. ¿Qué pasa?
Tú con la pantalla y yo con los bembe. How are you?
Tú
How was your
sabes,
day?
es summertime, hay que ponerse las pantallas bonitas.
Summertime.
Y very, very, statements.
You have to sit back and unwind.
Estamos en el verano.
Yes. Estamos in the veranation.
Yes.
Yes. So we're going to get straight to the spilling of the wine because I'm a little sad and I hope it's not true because I am a big fan and I did watch the documentary and I was rooting for these girls. So we want to talk about the Lizzo controversy. There's a couple of her dancers saying that,
there's a lawsuit against her.
Yes, a lawsuit for sexual harassment and for mistreatment.
And even body shaming, they said. They said body shaming. Yes. They said she's even, oh my God, I can think of the freaking word right now.
I have the article up here because I'm not going to remember.
It's a lot of different accusations.
There are a lot of different accusations.
Racist, body shaming.
Yeah.
Almost like running a sweatshop kind of thing.
Yeah, there was one girl that also stated that she threatened her. She was like, with her hands in her face. I saw her today on, on the news. And she was like, it basically like, you're so fucking lucky that I can't hit you type thing.
Yeah.
And so the plaintiffs are Crystal Williams, Ariana Davis, and Noel Rodriguez, and they performed with Lizzo at the festivals, and they're actually also in the documentary, which I loved. And and I mean, there's been allegations of her in the past, with her mistreating people, and they draw projects from her. But her documentary is so inspiring and so motivating for people, big girls, watch out for the big girls,
which has always been her thing, right?
Yeah, so I hope that they come to terms with what the real story is.
Supposedly even Queen Bee, Beyonce, left like her name or her part out of a song when she performed because of the lawsuit. Yeah, so this is big.
Yeah, it is big, but I'm hoping that, the truth comes out. And if it is the truth, then you know what, Lizzo, shame on you.
Yeah.
Because people look up to you and you're a mentor and you're a voice for us curvy girls. And if you're body shaming people, then, maybe you should find a quote to live by if you're doing it. Corny segue, but it's the truth. Yeah. But we'll be right back with our Pero Porque Why segment with Dr. Patricia Delgado and Patricia Conde Brooks, founders of the El Puente Institute. We'll be right back. Hey guys, welcome back to our Pero Porque Why segment. So today, I'm excited. We have two amazing Latinas, the founders of El Puente Institute, and coincidentally, they're both named Patricia, so I know I'm going to mess this up throughout the whole interview. Dr. Patricia Delgado and Dr. Patricia Conde Brooks. Join us. Welcome. So welcome. We are so excited to have you ladies on the show today. So thank you. Thank you for reaching out on Podmatch and inquiring about our podcast. I think what you guys are doing is phenomenal. So I'm going to start by you guys giving us a little bit of a background on how you met and what inspired you guys to start this institute for Latino communities and Latino workers.
Yeah, so thank you again, both of you, for having us, and to all your comadres that are part of the show. My name is Dr. Patty Delgado, and so I go by Patty, and my comadre is Patricia. So hopefully that's how we differentiate each other. But I am we're 3 co-founders of El Puente Institute. Unfortunately, our third amazing Latina was unable to join us, but her name is Dr. Alejandra Milky, and she resides in Austin, Texas. And so Patricia and I have created this institute. I am originally from El Paso, Texas, So I am Chicana, border town, Tejana, and I'm very proud of our beautiful sun city of El Paso, Texas. And I am just excited to be here. I am a doctor of psychology. My doctorate in psychology, business psychology. And so, I like to bring a lot of that type of work into the things that we do in the Institute. And so very excited. I'm going to pass it over to my comadre, Patricia, so she can introduce herself. And then I'll kind of give a little bit of how the Institute came to be and the vision of it.
Yeah, buenas, Patricia Conde Brooks. Patricia, go by Patricia. I'm originally from Bogota, Colombia. Immigrated to the United States when I was starting high school. I live in Minneapolis, St. Paul, so not a lot of Latino representation in the Twin Cities. And just got really lucky a few years ago to meet up with Patty. We both have the same interest around researching, and my doctorate degree is in organizational development and change management. So but what I did, my dissertation and my research was specifically on Latina and Latina leadership, really looking at what makes us Latinas when we show up in places and spaces, what Latinidad we bring with us, and how do we enact around that Latinidad. And so that's how we got started with the Institute, and continue to do some of that work, and have an opportunity to meet amazing amigas como ustedes, friends like you.
Thank you. Yeah. And so we're super excited to be here. And a little bit that, we're academics, but I always say like we're cool academics, like we're down to earth academics, like we can chismear and we can do all that stuff. And so sometimes when, all three of us are like, we're doctoras, somos doctoras. They're like, oh God, they're doctoras, and it's like, no, but we're fun doctoras. Like we can do all sorts of stuff. So I love the vibe of your show because it fits in with us. We just sometimes can, and, end up just uncovering so many things. But ultimately the Institute was a vision of mine that I had. And as I met Patricia and I met Dr. Alejandra, I just felt a very deep connection with them automatically and knew that their values and their ganas and their chingona has, that stuff just really connected with me. And I started conversing with them and said, hey, I think we need to do something, like really bring all of this academic research that we've done together out into the workplace and create this translation between, like Patricia said, our Latinidad and leadership, and just what really makes us Latinos, and also study what are the barriers that are holding us back right now in the workplace that are really not, we have so much potential, and I'll be preaching to the choir of how amazing Latinos are, but there are barriers, and we're seeing it in the research that hold us back from really coming out with our superpowers of our cultural values. So I asked them, you want to join me on this journey? I think kind of, Francis, like your story, you asked your comadres, you want to do this? And they're like, yes. And so here we are. It's been almost a year, and we are doing research, training, shifting mindsets, and really creating this superpower in Latino professionals and leaders currently in the workplace. So very exciting, and excited to continue talking about it.
Amazing. Well, cheers to you guys.
Yes, cheers to you, ladies.
We forgot our wine.
I have several bottles here I could start opening.
It's wine and wisdom. What did you ladies think you need?
Yes.
I thought about it, but I was like,
no, vete busca tu vasito de vino en confianza.
Un vasito del vino hace bien para la salud.
Sí, pues claro que sí. Of course, yeah.
So, Patricia, I liked what you said on how you dedicated yourself to study the Latinidad of the Latin culture. What does that specifically mean to you? And what have you through your research realized what it means to other people? So
I've always known that, when you come as an immigrant, and I'm speaking for myself now, you go through like a assimilation stage, right? You try to fit in. And so I went through alliterations of being Patty, Tricia, Trish. I'll just use my name as an example, right? And, trying to fit in. And then there was always something that I was always thinking, I'm not really ni de aquí ni de allá. I don't fit here or fit there. Because when I went back to Colombia, my family sometimes would say, la gringa ahora. You know what I mean? So you're always straddling this fence of, do I belong here? Do I belong there? And knew that a lot of the behaviors that I had when I worked with people, or interact with people were grounded in values. So when you're doing a doctorate degree, you got to pick a subject you got to study, and you know you're going to spend at least 2 to 3 years really researching this. So it's got to be something, at least I thought it had to be something that was meaningful to me and something that would get me interested, because I was going to spend 3 years of my life doing this. And one of the things I thought about is, like, I realized that Latinas leaders showed up when allowed, showed up differently or used certain characteristics. And I was like, I'm really going to figure out what that is. So I started reading and researching, which was the first part of your, when you're doing this research work, and realized that a lot of the ways that we behave, a lot of the things that we do, is what we call cultural scripts, or the values that we have that we pass on from one generation to the other. And we can go into that. And I realized that Latinidad is not the fact that I speak Spanish, and I do. I was lucky enough to be able to keep my Spanish language, because not all Latinos get to do that. That's really a privilege. It's not my country of origin, because many Latinos are born here. Many are born in 27 Latino countries. It's not my race or my ethnicity, because we have Afro Latinos and we have white Latinos, indigenous Latinos. But what makes us Latinos is the shared values that we had. And so then I interviewed a whole bunch of Latinas and did a lot of interviews, and I was able to kind of hone in about 6 or 7 of them that really, really ties us together as a community. So familismo, family means everything to us, right? That's probably the most salient one that we all think about. Everybody thinks about Latinos, oh, la familia, good or bad. We can have a whole other show with a bunch of drinks.
Es la que toca.
I need another drink, because before we got on, you ladies got on, that was the exact conversation her and I were having about
familia
responsibility that comes with it. And
I was on the phone with my sister, and I said, I gotta go, because we were doing like that, whatever. Yeah, it's that whole thing. And then we talked about personalismo, which is actually what we did before we got on the show. Is where I want to know something about you, so you know something about me. So now we have confianza. So we tend to create this really intertwined, weaved relationships with people. Patty, you want to talk about a couple of the other ones that we kind of researched and discovered?
Yes. And so then, and this is why I was so, can you see why I adore this woman? Like, I mean, her knowledge of this stuff, it just emulates like perfection. Also, another one of the scripts that hopefully we can dig into is the female male gender script of machismo and marianismo, right? And so how us as Latinas, especially, we kind of run from this very Mariana, Virgin Mary-ish way of behaving. So we're very service-oriented, and it's about serving others before ourselves. And others like Simpatia, where it's all about the plática, and it's about even the chisme and that kind of
yeah, definitely.
And, right. And so these are very natural for us. Sometimes we do it even unconsciously, that we're not realizing, like, wow, okay. And a lot of it, as Patricia mentioned, they're brought from ancestral dichos or narratives that we hear. So the big one we always say is calladita más bonita. Like, my mother told me that, and I'm like, but do I really look más bonita when I'm quiet? Like, I don't understand what you're trying to tell me. No, mija, mira, vas a ver. You're going to see that when you got to just be quiet. And so in that particular dicho, which sometimes we hold these as like gold. I don't even know. The other day I heard one about, no, algo de si la boca abres, te entra una mosca. There's a million dichos, right? I tried to translate that.
I'm trying to remember that one. I know that one.
You know that?
I think it's boca cerrada, no entran las moscas.
Exactly. Exactly. Try to translate that in English. Forget it. Los gringos me estaban viendo like, what do you say?
¿Qué carajo es eso?
A closed mouth does not let flies in.
Yeah. And I'm like, how do we hold these dichos as like actual decision-making tools for us?
We do it all the time.
We do.
Tell the pollito one, Patricia. We heard another one about
so we did a training this week with a group of Latinos and Latinas, and we were talking about familismo. And then we asked, one of the participants said, oh, familismo, sure, la mamá de todos los pollitos. And then she goes, as Latina, that's what I go to when I go to work, and she's a leader, a supervisor in her field, and she goes, soy la mamá de todos los pollitos. And then we do that, like we're being told, you gotta go, everybody, take care of everybody. and we don't realize it, but the data and the research and the literature, we bring that with us wherever we go to work.
Yes.
And that
bring that
awareness
with us everywhere we go.
Yes.
Everything we do.
Yes.
It's almost like a natural, it just happens.
Yeah.
Like you said earlier, Patty, we don't even realize what we're doing.
No.
Sometimes. It just happens.
No.
Yeah.
It becomes second nature.
Yeah.
We want to name it, claim it, and tame it.
I love
you
that.
start to
Say that
name
again.
it.
Look, I bought my pen and notes.
Name it. You gotta name it.
Name it.
Claim it.
Claim
and
it.
Tame it.
Claim it and tame it.
And tame it. Because you want to be able to identify it, right? You want to say, oh, the reason I show up to work and take care of everybody at work is because I'm using familismo. Now you got a name for it. So you name it. You can claim it and say, that makes me a really good leader. That makes me like, I'm the one that creates really good teams. People want to go work for me. That's on the good side, because all of this have a shadow side. That's right. We talk about that.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can tame it. Say how much familismo they want to show up at work with, or how much want to pull back. But so we do a lot of work around that self-awareness and really educating and just having just the idea of like, how do we navigate them, and how do we activate them and deactivate them when we need to.
Yeah, it's funny that you have all those sayings, that because the topic of our episode today is what's your quote of the day, right? And I always have gone by like it's so silly, but my mother used to always say, barriga llena, corazón contento, right?
Mm-hmm.
Really? Really? Because now I'm chunky and it's not a good thing. Right? Now it's a controversy. Because, el corazón está contento, la barriga estaba tan llena que tu corazón está demasiado muy contento, right? And then the other one she used to always say was that, una boca cerrada no llena la barriga vacía. So, ¿qué tú quieres? O la barriga llena o la quieres vacía? Decide.
Right, exactly. And they're very sometimes contradictory.
They're contradictory.
Almost everything that we're told is contradictory.
Yeah, so if I had too much of a voice, right? Because she's pretty much telling me, like, if you keep your mouth closed, you're never going to succeed in anything, because you have to use your voice. But then if you use your voice, then that's a bad thing too.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. Because you can't be too vocal with your partner. You can't be too vocal at work, or you like Patty said earlier, te ves más linda calladita, right? Mm-hmm. And in our conversation on the drive home, my mother was like, esa boca te va a poner a ti en problema. And I was like, bueno,
I hear that all the time. And it happens to me all the time.
Que tú me diste, so I don't know, yo no sé lo que tú quieres que yo haga con ella, right?
Well, so and what we try to do is positions people thinking in appreciating those dichos, but not making it what they do and making it the part of their decision-making process. So asking themselves, is this really serving me in this situation as a leader or as a mother or as a wife? Is it serving me in the current system that we're in that's not made for us, but in the current system and places that we show up at? And the answer is no. And the next question is, can I change it? So we always tell our leaders, you can change this narrative and rewrite it, like hashtag rewrite the narrative, to do something new, right? And still give respect to the dicho, but then give respect to yourself and do something new. And that's the kind of thinking that I know we do as we continue coaching leaders and professionals and Latinas and so forth, is there's a different way, and it's it's superpower, and you're not going against the familia, and don't use guilt. Like, it's okay to do this differently. We need to. It's not serving us anymore.
Yeah, think about it. It's like, so let's say you go, I'm going to go buy a car. And you think, oh, maybe I want to buy a red car. I guarantee you, if you started driving somewhere, you're going to see every red car everywhere. And you're going to compare, is it a Toyota, is it a Honda, whatever red car. It's sort of the same thing with this awareness around our culture. We call them drivers because it's a cultural driver. How much you want to lean into it, or how you want to call it back. That was the name that we coined for the Puente. Once you become aware of it, people are like, yeah, carajo, I knew I was doing too much Marianismo at work when I decided I was the one that was going to make coffee for everybody, and I was going to take care of everybody and stay afterwards and clean up the room, right? And part of it's our condition. And we were told, niñas buenas, limpia, calladita, which is good. You want to be a niña buena, maybe you don't, but whatever. But you also wanna be able to empower them, speak for yourself, and be able to say, you know what, no, let the guys. And I'm a mother of 3 sons, so I've raised a little bit of machismo. I'll admit that. Let's not even get started on Latino moms, okay? But you want to be able to say, okay, no, you know what? I'm letting other people in my work or my team take credit for the work that I've done. And then you're like, no mas. And you have a choice to kind of start changing it. So that's kind of where we're trying to really work with developing that self-awareness and then giving people tools. And Alejandra, that's not here with us, she really is a phenomenal coach for Latinas. And she does a really good job of taking all of the scripts and aligning them to work duties and like, well, how do you use Marianismo to influence people? Because influencing is a really good leadership skill that you have. And she'll give you like a whole sample of that. And so we're kind of like this cultural drivers geek, I guess is what you call us, huh, Patty?
Cultural driver geeks. I would say cultural driver chingonas. That might be better for me.
That's true. Yeah.
But it's just great work. And we always talk about our raíces, right? Like if we really go deep into what is Latinidad, it's about our roots. And these are the roots that hold us down and, then a foundation when it's shaky. So why aren't we talking about our raíces more? Why do we keep talking about, oh, what food do you like? Oh, what, music do you like? No, who are you? What does your identity look like for you? Because for every Latino is different. We talk about factors such as generation, were you immigrant parents, where in the US were you raised? Because a border town Latina like myself is different from a New York Latina like your group, and a Colombian immigrant but so we tell them there's a lot of different factors. So it's really important to look at your own picture, your own identity, and all the beautiful layers of it, and start unpacking that. And we have to have more conversations like that, which is why thank you for having us being here.
That's amazing. Thank you guys. I mean, this so far, I'm loving everything. But I gotta say, it's so true what you just said, Patty. Like, I'm Dominicana, and I am a very proud Dominicana. I never lived in the Dominican Republic, but it's like Patricia said earlier, ni de allá, ni de aquí. Aquí soy la Dominicana y allá soy la Americana. Because I never lived there, right? But like even my sister will make fun of me sometimes, and she's like, "You're such a freaking jibara," and I'm like, "Why? Why?" Because I have cultural stuff all around my house from the Dominican Republic, including my living room. I don't know if you can see the picture.
Oh,
it's like the beautiful beach in the Dominican Republic. So it's like I have the beach in the Dominican Republic right in my living room. In my kitchen, in my dining room. As soon as you walk in my apartment, when my boys were little, I made sure that I played Spanish music, and I found Spanish speaking babysitters. And, we have a guira, and we have a tambora, and we have, all the Spanish instruments, because I wanted them to know their roots. Me being Dominican and their father being from Puerto Rico, I was like, you guys are American, but you need to know your roots.
Yeah, I saw your face, Patricia.
What makes you alive? What makes you so handsome? It's all that blood in you, I am a very proud Latina. Like I am I always joke as well, because at work, I'm the only Latina and with dark hair. Todo el mundo es rubio. And I'm like, yep, I'm never turning blonde, because I am showing them who I am, especially when I walk in with my hair curly, and they're like, oh, what did you do to your hair? Nothing, I washed it. But it's just, I am very proud of my roots, of where I come from, and my language. Like, you ladies were saying, es tan importante mantener las raíces viva, and I've inscribed that into my boys.
Yep.
I can relate to you, Patricia, because you said that, you were considered a gringa, right? And so that was been my issue all my life, because I'm blanquita and I have a very white name, Frances Latalotti, right? It's not Rivera.
Latina. Nobody thinks she's
Latina.
It's
not Rodriguez or Hernandez. It's Latalotti, right? And so when I moved to Puerto Rico, my mother moved us over there, and I lived there for a year. I was fighting every day. I went to a convent school, and I was fighting every day because I was the Americuchin, right? That's what they used to call.
Oh, wow.
And so even though I spoke Spanish, they were like, well, how you as a green guy, you speak Spanish? And I'm like, well, I'm Puerto Rican. No, your last name is Lata, blah, 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 right? So then when now I come into high school and I went to all female, predominantly Hispanic and Black high school. And even though I was Puerto Rican, I was still the white girl.
Yes.
Right. And so it was like trying to find my way to fit in. And then they took over, and that was the end of the rest of my life, because they literally took me to the bathroom, they cut my skirt, they put on hoop earrings, and they were like, you're Puerto Rican. And that's what they did. Literally.
And she loved it. That's why we're still friends so many years later.
Yeah. Literally, they did do that. and so, you know, I'm always thankful to my mom that she made it her point to teach us how to speak our native language.
Yes.
And I think a lot of I don't know if it's a mistake or lack of understanding on what it is to fully pass down your roots, you know, because I think for me, it goes beyond the food and the music and the language. It's really ancestral.
Right. Yes.
It's ancestral and finding your roots and where you come from, and, you know, your great grandparents and your all of your history.
Yeah.
And recently we had a guest on the show that forced me to look more into my ancestry, for two reasons. One, when we had the guest on the show, Lyric Cruz, he's an amazing international choreographer. He was telling us on how he found his journey to finding his roots. And he was asked by a teacher if he knows what the Puerto Rican flag stands for. And he was like, yeah, you know, Puerto Rico and pride and patria. And he was like, well, what does the American flag stands for? Like the star and the stripes. And he was able to tell him, you know, it's the 50 states and the stripes of the 13 colonies. He's like, okay, so what does the Puerto Rican flag stand for? And he couldn't do it. So he's like, then I don't really know my culture. I don't really know what my flag stands for, you know? And that was eye-opening for me. I mean, I knew what the flag meant because I studied in Puerto Rico, but if I wouldn't have studied that year in Puerto Rico, I wouldn't know what the flag meant.
No.
You know?
You're right.
And so the other experience I had was when I was flying back from Puerto Rico recently, an airline stewardess came up to me, and he's like, he went up to my mom first, and he goes to my mom, are you Latalari? And my mother's like, yeah. And he's like, are you related to so and so? My mom was afraid to answer. She's like, my daughter's back there, like, go talk to her. So he didn't even know who I was. And he's passing by, and then he stops and he backs up, and he's like, is your last name Latalari? And I'm like, true New York fast. And I'm like, yeah. Why? You know? And then he's like, is your mom up there? And I'm like, why? What did she do? And he's like, no, nothing. And I'm like, and he's like, I think we're related.
What?
And I was like, what? And he was like, my last name is Latalari too. And I was like, who's your dad? And he's like, no. My dad was the mayor of, Patillas, which is our hometown. And then we started talking. Turns out his grandfather is my grandfather is his uncle.
Oh.
Wow.
So we're first cousins.
Wow.
And I had never met him before in my life. And then my cousin, who I grew up with and everything, well, I'm sorry, we're second cousins. My cousins who I grew up with and everything, that's their first cousin because their father is his uncle as well. So it's just like, it's just so crazy. And I was just like, you know what? I need to dig into my roots. So the fact that you guys are teaching, a broader spectrum of that, as far as, finding out also the terminology, which we call generational trauma. Right?
That is there.
It's really generational trauma, and how to circum that, how to overcome that, and not transfer or carry those traumas into our own life experiences. So and that's why we drink wine on the show.
Right. You need to process it all in your mind. No, and we just had a conversation this morning about the whole, let's talk about what happened in the 1500s, and let's talk about how colonization came through, and let's talk about how is it that the Spaniards came and imposed religion. I mean, all of that, if people stop to think, it's all still part of who we are today. How? I don't know. Biologically, DNA, who knows? but I'll blame it on the dichos. But it just seems to, even today, continue to roll. What we have seen in the research, this is very interesting, is the younger Latinos, Gen Z, millennials, majority, born here in the US, they're challenging the scripts. And they're like, wait, no, this is not for me. Like the new Latina, instead of being Marianismo, her is Embrismo. So she's the strong Latina, the Latina that's not going to take any, who's from whoever. And this is how they just naturally appear versus I'm envious of them. And I'm like, oh my God. But we're seeing that now from a generation, and even in our research, there's a difference. And I did my dissertation on Hispanic millennials. And I always say I'm putting my money on this young generation to help bridge the gap between where we were and where we need to be so that we can have the rightful voice here in the US and be the largest minority group, rightfully so. So I put my money on the young generation.
Well, cheers to the millennials.
Cheers to the millennials and Gen Z. Yes. For sure. Cheers to them.
They definitely have more of a voice than when we did growing up.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. No, yo soy la más vieja. Don't call me vieja, call me la doña.
Yeah.
I told my sister, I'm going to get on with this. Supposed to be, I guess your low tag is having 40 in your 40s. And I go, ay, Dios mío, that was a long time ago for me. So I told my sister, I'm going to tell her I'm la doña, no la vieja. Remember that.
You're the doña,
She's
but
right.
When you go, esa vieja que habló, you can say that, but don't say it to my face. It's la doña que dijo. You see the difference there? La doña dijo. You just speak out. It's just because I immigrated to the United States in 1975. So when we came here to Oklahoma, a little bitty town, Oklahoma, there was hardly no Latinas. My sister and I were the only Latinas in the school at all. I mean, that was it. And then I remember I always joke with people. I say, when I came to the States, I had to learn how to be an American, but I also had to learn how to be Mexican. And the reason I say that is because most people would say, where are you from? And I said, oh, Bogota, Colombia. Oh, what part of Mexico is that from?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, because in the Southwest, you're in Oklahoma or Texas. That is
everybody's Mexican.
They didn't cross the border. The border crossed them, right?
Exactly.
I tell people that don't ever forget that they did not cross the border. The border crossed ancestral hundreds of years of generations of Mexicans that were part of our country, and we just don't talk about that. But that's a whole other show too. And so it was about learning, and then it was the first time in my life that I said, "You're a Latina." Because before that, I was a Colombian. I was just a Colombian. And I didn't have to think of myself as a Latina, as a woman of color, because I am more light-skinned, more European. But then all of a sudden, I had to, with the years, kind of take this on. What does that mean to be a Latina? And then trying to find role models that weren't, nothing against Gloria and what's her name? Sofia Vergara. Love her, she's funny, but that's not every Colombian woman out there, right? Or not every Latina. I love Eva Longoria. Eva Longoria, she's a chingona. She's out there fighting and saying, and she's funny. And so that's the type of Latina that if I want a role model, even though she's much younger than me, that would be the Latina that I would go for. And it was just learning, what does it mean to be a Latina? Because it was given to me, it was a label on a box in the census, right? But with that comes a lot more than just that. And then you have, if you're white passing and you no longer have an accent, or you no longer, you have a Latin last name, you can just be Francis Laterati. I can be Patricia Brooks. I joke that I can just be Patricia Brooks. Patricia Brooks is so boring.
No, it's not boring. It's how you say it. It's how you say it. Because you can say like Patricia Brooks, or you could be like Patricia Brooks.
Right?
It's all in the delivery. It's all in the delivery. They used to call me Can Lady because my name in Spanish is Lata Lady. Can Lady.
Oh. Poor Francis, I'm sorry.
or they used to it's not funny, Gloria. Or they used to reference me to that rap song by Dougie Fresh. Oh, lottie dottie, we like to that.
Oh yes. Right.
So there was no winning. I just went along with it. They used to start singing, so I used to start dancing. You can't let them win, right? So, but no, you have to be proud of your Brooks.
Yes.
And just
the Brooks roots. Yeah.
I'm the roots or the Brooks. I'm part of the Conde. The Brooks is the marriage. I don't like the marriage, yeah.
So roll your R when you say Brooks. You say Conde Brooks.
Brooks, yeah. Brooks, yeah.
You gotta Latinize it.
That's right.
I love it. I love it. I think everything that you guys are doing and everything that you're saying is so relatable.
Yeah, yeah. And we do, I mean, if it's not just, we work with corporate clients, we work a lot in the workforce, but we're also noticing that we have to also educate non-Hispanic leaders who are, unfortunately, a lot of them are the ones in power in the positions of hiring, to understand our culture at that level as well. So that they're not using their stereotypes of, they're farm workers, or, it's unfortunate. We have so many stereotypes that are just kind of layered on us. Yes. That we have to tell people, we're not all immigrants, and we all are different. There's a colorism in the Latino, community. And so we're also doing education with non-Hispanic leaders, and to just give them the deep roots of the community, not just the statistical numbers of, we're the largest minority, but no, get them to know, like, this is familismo for us. So how can you, improve current policies in your organization to fit our needs? Because they don't realize that by 2050, Latinos are going to be the largest workforce overall. So if they're not tapping into that talent pool right now, they're going to miss out on amazing talent. So we're constantly also educating our allies and non-Latino leaders as well. So just a lot of great work that we feel it's time. There's a rumble. I was telling Francis, there's a rumble amongst Latinos that's happening, like a volcano. Like, we're ready, just like
volcano. It's a volcano spewing and it's about to explode. And when it explodes, forget about it.
Like, we're ready. And so the work you all are doing, the work we're doing together collaboratively, wow. I mean, that's like a bomba.
Yeah. I truly feel that this is our time. We were talking about that now. There's been many times that we've wanted to throw in the towel with this podcast, because we all have 9-to-5 jobs, we're mothers, and it can be very overwhelming, and it can be very exhausting in order to make it happen, and this is, year 3, sorry. And we're about to celebrate our 100th episode, and we're very proud that we've gotten this far, but then it's like, then life kicks in and it just makes things, harder. But then I sit down and I think, the exhaustion is what's driving us, to take it to the next level, because, anybody can give up, right? It's the hard work that brings us success.
And we get to meet amazing women like you ladies.
Yes.
Thank you.
And it's been such a wow experience, right? All the people we've met because of this, and all the lives that we know we have touched because of this.
Yeah.
So it makes it all worthwhile, right?
Yeah.
Like she said, as exhausted as we may be, as much things come at us, once we get on here, it's like, okay, we're so glad we did this tonight.
That's true.
And I see you guys do it so beautifully, sin envidia. That is one of the scripts that we're observing in our research amongst, especially Latinas, the script of envidia. And you guys do it sin envidia. And we do our work sin envidia, because when you achieve something, we're achieving something with you. And so if we can also continue thinking from that perspective, Latinas are the future. That's how we always say, but sin envidia.
100%. There's no envy. There's no judgment here. There's no finger pointing.
I know.
Don't get me wrong. We fight like sisters also, right? But we also have conversations like sisters, and
correct.
We're not here to
support one another.
Yeah, 100%.
Through the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yep.
100%, regardless how near or far we are from each other. Like, just the same way you guys are in different states, we're all in New York, but we're either an hour, 2 hour, 45 minutes away from each other. Right. And we find, we just find the ways, to make it work. So the bonus to this is that we get to meet, like Gloria said, women like you, that on our tiredest day, we're like, you know what?
It was worth it.
Amazing. It was worth it, and we learned so much. And then you guys, just came in here and educated us and continued, like Eunice just said, build and empower each other. So I hope that we can later on in the future be able to have you guys back on the podcast or join forces, like we, Patty and I spoke about. You know, we wanna join forces and do some type of conference or, you know, a panel or something where we can have this conversation on a bigger scale.
Yeah.
Yes. And we're ready for that. And so we're ready in any way for us to bring our skill set and our expertise, and you all bring your skill set and your expertise. Yeah, it's all possible, and love to be a part of that.
Yeah, I think that would be amazingly exciting. And I think, you know, I know for me, it could be possibly life-changing. And just to see, you know, everybody's reaction and to have a room full of Latina women to, you know, empower and motivate each other and, you know, learn that we don't have to pass on these generational traumas and cultures, and we can start creating our own, you know. I think that would be great, but that's going to have to be a 2024 thing because we have so much going on right now.
You're down anytime.
Yeah,
you guys
but we can definitely, you know, join forces and work on that. So, but I want to thank you guys so much for being on the show. It's been amazing.
Appreciated.
You know, we both want to invite you back, and when we're all together, the three of you and the four of us.
Wow, talk about powerhouse.
That would be really amazing. It's truly been amazing having you ladies on tonight.
Thank
you so much for taking time.
And people can find us on LinkedIn. We're very active on LinkedIn.
Share your handles. Share your handles.
Under El Puente, and you can always you know, that's probably our biggest thing is LinkedIn, since we're kind of in that workspace. But we're also on Instagram as well. Happy to connect with anybody with further questions on where you can find us and sign up for a master class, a training class for your organization, even just a session like this where we can come and kind of explore a little bit and educate. So thank you, ladies. Thank you so much.
I love that. You're welcome. I'll put all that information on our website. So
thank you.
We'll be right back with my segment, Entertaining con Francis. We'll be right back. Hey guys, welcome back to Entertaining con Francis. So today I'm actually not going to teach you on how to do things to entertain other people, but to entertain yourselves. The summer's almost over, and there's so many different things to do here in New York City. And a lot of them have to do with the summer concert series. Like this weekend, I went to Ruby Park here in New Rochelle, and I saw Tito Puente Jr. for free, live. There's also yoga in the park. There's so many different activities and things you can do. Don't miss out. Go to New York, NYC actually .gov or nycbucketlist.com, and there's a list and a calendar full of dates and things that you can do. But three of my summer favorites so far have been the Tea Around Town bus. So it's a bus, and it's basically a sightseeing bus. It takes you around New York City, and it's a tea time. They have tea sandwiches, finger sandwiches. It's the cutest thing ever. It's your own mobile tea room, and you can reserve it for just you and your friends. Tickets are not that expensive, but they do have a 2-ticket minimum purchase. So you can reserve it online at the topviewnyc.com and just go to the Tea Around Town bus, and they actually have 20% off online deal. It's the cutest thing ever. You go for a tour, you have some brunch. Check it out. It's the cutest thing ever. The next thing is rooftop movies. One of my favorite has been at the Brooklyn Bridge Park. So they have on their website, brooklynbridgepark.org, they have a full calendar of Harborview Lawn movies that they're showing. From old school movies like E.T. to Top Gun. They have Goodfellas. You'll have a great time. Go to their website, check out what time and what dates you can see your favorite old school movie. Another thing with this whole Barbie phenomenon going on, they have the Malibu Barbie Cafe in Fulton Street. Tickets start at $17. They have the big Barbie box that you can climb in and take a picture in. They have the car. They have a full counter setup. They have pink umbrellas, cocktails. It's very nostalgic. You get your for the price. They have early bird pricing is $22, $22 to $30 for kids, and $39 to $49 for adults, depending if it's on peak or off peak. But your ticket price includes your choice of entree and a side item. an hour and a half table reservation, full access to the Malibu Barbie Cafe experience, additional libations, shared plates, and desserts available for purchase. And it's running from all the way through October 13th. Don't miss it. Miss out on it. It's going to be so much fun. You get to take pictures and just have that nostalgic moment. Like, I went to go see the movie and it was reminded me of my childhood, and then going to the cafe reminded me even more. So check out all these different things that are going on in New York City for the summer. Don't miss out. Enjoy your last few days. Bye.
Welcome back, everyone. So, Frances, tell me, how much did you love our guests today?
You know, they were both amazing, but I just want to like hug Patricia.
Right? Wasn't she the best? She was just amazing. I mean, they both were great, phenomenal women.
Yeah,
I love what they're doing, what they stand for. I think it's so important for us to, dig into our roots, right? And keep those roots alive, like I've always said, right?
Yeah.
I had a blast with them.
I did. I had a blast. I'm so thankful they reached out to us on, and they, I asked her what intrigued you. I always ask people that are on Podmatch, what intrigued you about us that wanted you to be on the show? She was like, your sisterhood.
Love it.
She's like, your sisterhood, the fact that we have a sisterhood and you guys are a sisterhood, and it's so relatable. She's like, and the fact that your message is about empowering Latinas. And women. And I was just like, oh, she was like, it was instant. She was like, it was an instant synergy. And she didn't lie, because their energies are amazing.
Oh my God.
I wish them a lot of success with their institute. I see that institute going, nationwide.
They're gonna bless a lot of people and help so many. It's just amazing what they're doing.
Totally
enjoy them.
They totally are. Did you enjoy my end of summer ideas?
Yes, I loved your end of summer ideas.
Summer is not over, people. We still have 4 weeks. Yes. So go out and enjoy all the free things in New York. Yoga in the park, the free summer concerts, everything. Go enjoy it. Before you know it, September is here.
All the new pop-ups, right?
Yes.
The Barbie, the tea bus that you can take and have tea. So many fun things. It's just amazing.
Yeah, there's so many fun things. So take the time out and go enjoy the rest of your summer, because before you know it, it is over, and then we're back in our North Faces and Ugg boots.
Unfortunately.
So guys, thank you for watching our show. Join us next week when we get together a limpiar. We are cleaning our house next week. Join us next week as we discuss how you clean your house, and is it therapeutic to you? Join us Wednesday on YouTube.
Tune in and listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and Google Podcasts. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter at Wine and Wisdom 5. Pero una pregunta, ¿ya compraste tu ticket? Tickets are on sale for our anniversary show, August 19. You better go to our website and purchase your tickets, pero ya, ahora mismo, no espere más nada. Ahora. Don't forget to take a minute to sip some wine and share a little wisdom. Till next time, ciao.
Bye.